Freedom Radio Hour. Live on Capital Radio 91.6 FM.
All right, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Freedom Radio Hour. I'm your host, DJ Adam Cruz, and I have my fantastic co-host here,
Eddie Nicholas. Happy New Year to each and every one of you. What's up, Adam? It is so great to be back with you again. You know, we've been away for a good couple of months.
We have, but listen, we want to first let our listeners know and our viewers know that the Freedom Radio Hour is here to not only give you fantastic music tonight, but we want to talk about music, business news, and trends from around the globe. We're your number one source, and welcome, and thank you for joining us tonight. First order of business, we have to talk about the updates regarding the Copyright Royalty Board. You know, at the turn of the year, they met and they really instituted new rates for webcasters.
Well, but you know, it's about time. But again, go ahead.
Yes, but I couldn't agree more. We had to jump right into this, right? I couldn't agree more that it is a due time that they establish new rates for webcasters, because up until this point in the U.S., there really wasn't a royalty rate system that addressed webcasting. And so the Copyright Royalty Board, called the CRB, convened, and in the new year announced their new rates. Well, it really shook up the entire webcasting industry. I wonder if you can guess why.
Because they're going to have to pay more money.
They have to pay more money because you know what? We are not making any of it. You are constantly streaming our music, webcasters around the globe, over and over and over again, and we do not see near.
And bottom line, they're getting compensated by advertisement.
Well, if they do their business model right, but you know that many of these radio stations are very independent, sort of mom and pop, and they don't have an advertising platform. Now that's capitalism failure right there. Like if you start a business and you don't say, I have a platform to which I should launch advertising and charge as such, then that's on you. But many of these mom and pops just simply wanted to broadcast out. One company in particular saw its demise in the new year, and that was Live 365. We have a dear friend, Ace Mungeon, representing Ace Beat Music. Shout out to you, Ace.
Hey, Ace.
And Ace, for a long time, he was probably one of the first people that I knew that took on Live 365. See, what it was is Live 365 came in because they said, it would be nice if anybody could start their own radio station without having to sort of get into a corporate conglomerate, for example, in order to be involved. So Live 365 came to be because they thought it would be great to have just anybody become their own radio broadcaster. And it actually worked for a spell. They offered free service for a long time, and I actually signed up for Live 365 because I love it. Is a tongue twister, isn't it? Maybe that's part of the reason why they're no longer. But
business like people, business like. Go ahead, Adam.
So basically what ended up happening is once these new rates, so Live 365 allowed anybody to have a station. So Ace B created his own radio station to promote his record label and his style of music, gospel house music, right? So he has been doing his thing for many, many years. And then he was the one who posted sort of an RIP to Live 365, and it got my attention. So we did our research here at the Freedom Radio Hour, and we understand that Live 365 has closed its doors, in particular due to the Copyright Royalty Board's webcasting decision for 2016. Now, when we talked before we started this episode, I was asking my brother, what do you think of this? Do you feel like this is a bad news for webcasters, or do you feel like it's due time?
It's due time. You know, again, you have all of these independent, which, you know, we're all pro for independent, but a lot of times stuff has got to be compensated for. And what gets me is a lot of these independent stations, these independent jocks, not only do they do their promotion of their show, but then they have the nerve to take the music that they have and sell it. They package it.
That's right.
And sell it for $10 or whatever they want to sell it. You know, I got CDs and all of that type of stuff.
And you know, to be honest, when you went on the Live 365 site, you were bombarded with advertisement. If you were a free user, you had to deal with the cutoff. So if you were in the middle of listening to a song, all of a sudden, boom, an advertisement came in because you were free. If you subscribed to their service and paid whatever the fee was per month, then those advertisements, you get uninterrupted. But it was on the backs of advertisements. So I feel like the days were numbered for companies like Live 365, but I do feel badly in the sense that this kind of kills the mom and pop, the like regular Joe Schmo's ability to start webcasting, because it's not but a few more minutes before other webcasting outfits begin to crumble under the weight of the new rules posed upon them by the CRB. You know, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to break down yet another company who has seen its demise, possibly, because we want to say everything it's alleged right now. So we'll come back right here at the Freedom Radio Hour, your #1 source for music, business, news, and trends from around the globe, and we're here live.
91.6 FM. The heartbeat of the day.
Freedom Radio Hour. Live on Capital Radio 91.6 FM.
What up, beautiful people, and welcome back to Freedom Radio 91.6 FM. I'm Eddie Nicholas, and I'm sitting here with the wonderful Mr.
Adam Cruz, and we're live and direct on the Freedom Radio Hour, your #1 source for music, business, news, and trends from around the globe. Before we broke, we were talking about the Copyright Royalty Board's decision in the new year to impose new rules and new rates as it relates to web broadcasters. So, one of the first companies to see its demise, as we talked about, was Live 365. It was an outfit that allowed individuals to become their own radio station in a certain sense. And it didn't work out, though, because with these new royalty rates, and you know what, let's not put it all on that, because Live 365, quiet as kept, as our research has shown, has really been kind of tumbling downward, you know, and they're not the only company that's been dealing with this. Another company you may not have ever heard of, SFX Entertainment. A gentleman by the name of Robert Silman owned that company, bought that company in roughly the early 2000s, let's say around 2009 or 8 or something like that. At any rate, you may not know SFX Entertainment, but I bet you know his one of his sub companies, if you will, by the name of Beatport.
Oh.
So Beatport, as we know, was what?
It's one of the biggest little outlets for digital music worldwide.
Yeah, I think so too. I think for the longest time, TrackSource.com, which is its main competitor in our view, really caters to sort of the soulful house, more underground sounding house music. Whereas Beatport, we always felt was sort of the EDM counterpart, the sort of progressive, more bigger room house, if you will. And it was a very interesting split, because TrackSource and Beatport had the same labels on their websites. For example, Mixtape Sessions, my label, is available. Its material is available on both Beatport and TrackSource. So there's no differentiation in terms of what it chooses sometimes. But by and large, it built its brand on the EDM, electronic dance music.
And also, weren't they part of, what was that? I think it just discontinued this year too. That annual, weekly, monthly festival that they would do.
Yes, very good point. So SFX, thank you, Eddie. SFX Entertainment bought not only Beatport, but they also purchased festivals like Tomorrowland and others. And so now, since sort of as the 2000s, the beginning of the 2000s faded, and we started to come up on the next decade, 2010 and such, you started to see this downturn of the download dollar that we've been covering for a long time. And you also started to see less and less interest, not in festivals, but in its business. Why? Because the costs were so high that it doesn't often cover or make it profitable to continue these festivals. And then not only that, you have to deal with the city's ordinances.
Yes.
You also have to deal with the city's politics. So if you have a mayor or an official that's just not into this kind of set, this kind of crowd, because it does bring, you know, allegedly heavy drug use, you know,
supposedly,
all day, all evening type partying. You know, it talks about all those things. So cities aren't always really quick to jump on board and signing these big festivals to come to their town.
Hindsight NJ-PAC.
Oh, what are you talking about? Talk about it.
But that's another story for another day.
Okay, yes. Well. So what ended up happening is now we see that just this in the new year, Beatport has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Now, it's not like back in the day when you used to hear the word bankruptcy. That meant that it was essentially out of business. Well, now in the event of, in the advent of new rules regarding bankruptcy law, companies like SFX Entertainment can essentially reorganize, restructure without impeding the end user. What do I mean? The statement that has come out from Robert Silman's group is that Beatport will continue in its current form. Labels will continue to get paid. No one will experience an interruption in service in any way. That's what they're alleging. But you and I know that when bankruptcy comes into play, lots of things start to happen because essentially you have to liquidate. So they have to deal with that. But it's essentially a restructuring and a reorganization. So you may not see the end of Beatport, but you would certainly see an end in its current structure. So
hopefully, if it does, when it does restructure, that it will be a fair marketable rate to the artists whose work that they're selling.
Well, let me tell you something. That's a very interesting point, but I highly doubt that they're going to restructure this so that it benefits the labels and the copyright owners more. I think what this is about is how to maximize profit. Because if they restructure, then all of a sudden certain debts they no longer have to pay, and so it frees up some of their other assets. We're going to take another break. When we come back, we're going to talk more about this music business news and trends and more from the Freedom Radio Hour.
91.6 FM, the heartbeat of Sudan. Boom, boom, boom.
Freedom Radio Hour.
And we're back here live on Capital Radio 91.6 FM, the heartbeat of Sudan. You're in the zone right now at the Freedom Radio Hour, your number one source for music, business news, and trends from around the globe. I'm here with my fantastic co-host Eddie Nicholas here.
What a beautiful people.
Yes, and before we broke, we were talking about some of the implications behind the Copyright Royalty Board's new webcasting royalty rates. It essentially explains why Live 365 has closed its doors. It also starts to spearhead other discussions around outfits in their current state, like Beatport, under the company SFX Entertainment, has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, which sounded like sort of putting the nail on the coffin many years ago, but today it's more of a restructuring, reorganization. But it does give implications, and it's like a ripple effect throughout the industry wide, and things start to feel very unstable, very smoke and mirrors like the real value of things that you think a company might be worth one thing, and in actuality it's not really worth that, because when you take into account liquidations and such, so that becomes problematic. Case in point, the RIAA, that's the Recording Industry Association of America.
You can remember the acronym.
I know. Isn't that crazy? I don't even know how I pulled that one out. But the RIAA, in an effort to try to modernize its accounting systems, for the longest time, the RIAA really only counted on the Nielsen scan. So when you went to like a Tower Records or like a Virgin Megastore or something, and you bought an Eddie Nicholas album, there was a barcode in the back, you scanned it, and then that was fed to a central database that essentially became the counting system. And they would say, okay, Eddie's now a platinum selling artist because there were 1 million units sold at these various chains. Well, now today, as you realized, none of that is applicable. So the RIAA, in an effort to try to modernize things, they're now counting streams. That's like the plays.
Okay.
So they're counting that, and they're counting digital downloads. Okay. So on the one hand, you think, okay, great. I mean, if people are downloading my album, I want that to be counted as a unit. I mean, what is a unit if not some sort of transaction, right? But on the other side, when they're counting things like streaming, and for major artists, they're saying they're now multi-platinum selling artists. Even their own people are calling bogus on this.
Because a lot of what's multi-platinum now is not even selling 1 million copies.
It's not in reality, right? That's the point. That what you see is not really what you're getting. Smoke and mirrors, y'all.
We gotta do a song like that.
Smoke and mirrors.
Smoke and mirrors.
but that's how it feels like right now. It's very smoke and mirrors. Case in point, Kendrick Lamar had one of his biggest years in hip hop with his album, and the manager tweeted after the RIAA so proudly announced that Kendrick Lamar's album went platinum. The manager retweeted and called it BS. He said, we all know that what they're doing is counting all the streams and downloads, so it's not really platinum, but thanks for the shout out. It kind of gave him shade. Well, now fast forwarding time, Rihanna She just last week had released her newest album entitled Anti, and she released it exclusively through the Tidal service. Now remember, we're talking about Tidal, that's owned by Jay-Z. They're trying to be the Bose of streaming, very high end, and then now they're really touting exclusivity. So not only Rihanna's Anti album, you have Beyonce's brand new song Formation was available only through the Tidal service. For example,
of course, as soon as it dropped, it went #1 on Billboard. I ain't mad at you, Miss Beehive.
And then you know that she had the Super Bowl performance timed with the announcement of the new global tour. So go ahead, B.
Yeah,
that's what she's doing, the little trifecta, right? But she put out that material, and Rihanna's album she put out exclusively through the Tidal service. So in 24 hours, RIAA announced that her album went platinum. So she went out and thanked her, they called the Rihanna Army. She thanked her army for purchasing this project, but there was one little glitch, little glitch in it. The day before, right as it came out, that midnight, Rihanna sent a promo code to all of her fans, her stans, to download the project for free. Now that's all well and good.
We love you, Rihanna.
Well, I think that's all well and good that RIAA is counting those as units.
Because they downloaded it.
So now she went platinum overnight, but is it really platinum?
But girl makes her money by touring, so.
And that's what this is. We keep saying the same point, which is now the music download is essentially a business card, an
that's all
entry
it is,
point
to get
to
you
do
to
the
come
other
and
thing.
For you to come and see one perform.
Yeah, to see the anti-world tour or whatever it's going to be called, right? So you had that, but this kind of harkens back, because this is not the first time you had a sort of a loophole that sort of gave this smoke and mirrors effect. There was a time many years ago, before the digitization of music really took hold, Prince put out a project, the Musicology album. He put it out solely through a British newspaper, right? So subscribers of the newspaper, or people that bought the newspaper that day, got the newspaper and a copy of the album. Well, I think it was the Daily Mirror in the UK. They had millions and millions of subscribers. So guess what? Prince announced that he went multi-platinum in a day because all of the subscribers that buy the paper bought the album, which counted. So if anything, really, Prince was kind of the first person that you saw that really kind of flipped this around and said, oh, okay, well, if you're going to count it this way, then let's do it this way, because there's no rules. It's like the Wild West is what's happening right now. It is like the Wild West. This is not unlike Jay-Z releasing his album through the Samsung phone carrier, and all of those subscribers became counted as his platinum, multi-platinum status. Again, further to the point, it's all smoke and mirrors. Well, that's it for our episode for today. We're going to break down more in our coming episodes regarding more of the Copyright Royalty Board, what's going on with iHeartRadio and iHeartMedia, and more right here at Capital Radio 91.6 FM, the heartbeat of Sudan, and on the web at freedomradiohour.com, and of course at dwildmusicradio.com. Of course, you have to check out eddienicholas.com. That's my man's website.
www.eddienicholas.com. New album coming out.
Yes, Do You Want to Dance?
Summer. Do You Want to Dance?
Yes, I'm so excited about that. Yes, and yours truly have a brand new song coming out soon enough. Shonda Nicholas is the artist. The record is called Get My Life. Get My Life. So you'll be seeing that. My release date, and if you're watching, March 10th, that's when we can look for that project. So I'm really excited to announce that. And of course, we have an app. Yes, that is Baby
Yes, we
Sis.
have a new app. I'm excited about that.
Yes, so we have a brand new app, the Freedom Radio Hour app. Go to your app store if you are if you're an iPhone user, or if you're an Android user, you can get it on Google Play. It's free. You get all these episodes right from the app. You get to experience our music because we put it all up there, including Eddie Nicholas's Shake and other tunes. You have records from yours truly. You can buy our merchandise.
Diamond Girl.
Yes, and we just have all of the episodes and mixes and all of that good music and information all at your fingertips. So download the app right now, available everywhere. If you want more information, visit our website at freedomradiohour.com. Thanks for listening, everybody. Where are we?
91.6 FM, the heartbeat of Sudan.
Yes.
Peace out.
Peace.